Hello and welcome to the Master Approach to Language, the Deutsch edition, an effective and efficient mini-course designed for beginners. Do you remember how to say, hello, how are you? Hallo, wie geht's dir?
Hallo, wie geht's dir?
How would you say, I can speak a little German? Ich kann ein bisschen Deutsch sprechen.
Ich kann ein bisschen Deutsch sprechen.
How would you ask, can you help me? Where is the bathroom? Pay attention to where the second verb, help, will go in the first sentence. Kannst du mir helfen? Wo ist die Toilette?
Kannst du mir helfen? Wo ist die Toilette?
How do you say, excuse me, as in, what did you say? Wie bitte?
Wie bitte?
How would you ask, can we please speak English? Pay attention to where the verb to speak goes. Können wir bitte Englisch sprechen?
Können wir bitte Englisch sprechen?
To say I would like in German, we say Ich möchte.
Ich möchte.
The word for that is simply das.
Das.
How would you say, I would like that, please? Ich möchte das, bitte.
Ich möchte das bitte.
Möchten.
Möchten.
If the full verb is möchten, how do you think we would say we would like or they would like? Remember, wir helfen, Sie helfen. Wir können, Sie können. Wir kommen, Sie kommen. What do you think it is? Wir möchten, Sie möchten.
Wir möchten, Sie möchten.
Now I'd like to look at the conjugations of a few verbs we've already learned, just to try and see a pattern here. Notice how ich kann, kann, sie kann, und ich weiß, weiß, sie weiß. It's very often that ich und sie will all be conjugated the same way. Also pay close attention to the st at the end of the verbs for du. Du kannst, du weißt, and remember what you are is du bist. So now let's look at these verbs in the context of our new verb, möchten. Alright, and so as we go about conjugating this verb, what patterns can we expect to see if I told you that möchten is conjugated the same as kann und weiß? We can expect to see that ich und und sie will use the same conjugation, and we can expect to see an st somewhere in this verb at the end. Let's see what it looks like. Ich möchte, du möchtest, möchte, sie möchte, wir und sie möchten.
Ich möchte, du möchtest, möchte, sie möchte, wir, sie möchten.
The verb to go, which you've already come across in the phrase how are you, is gehen.
Gehen.
How would you say, I would like to go? Ich möchte gehen.
Ich möchte gehen.
The word for now in German is jetzt.
Jetzt.
How would you say, I would like to go now? Keep in mind that the second verb, to go, will come at the end, as it usually does. Ich möchte jetzt gehen.
Ich möchte jetzt gehen.
How would I ask, would you like to go now? And remember, if you've forgotten the conjugation of to go, try and remember the trick that goes with do. Do you remember what that is? ST usually comes at the end of verbs conjugated to do. So how would we say, would you like to go now? Möchtest du jetzt gehen?
Möchtest du jetzt gehen?
The word for later is später.
Später.
This is easy to remember as it rhymes with later. Later, später. How would you ask, are they leaving now? And keep in mind, Germans use to go and to leave interchangeably. And also, you know that they and we always take the full verb, so you should be able to figure this one out. Take a minute. Gehen Sie jetzt?
Gehen Sie jetzt?
How would I say, no, they are leaving a little bit later? And keep in mind, the German tenses are sometimes simpler than English. For example, here we will just stick to present tense. Nein, Sie gehen ein bisschen später.
Nein, sie gehen ein bisschen später.
So if we want to conjugate the verb gehen, which means to go, we can take a look at the verb kommen und haben, because it follows the same pattern. You'll start to see that there are several main patterns that verbs follow when being conjugated. So as we can see this time, he and she, er und sie, are not conjugated the same as ich. They both have a T at the end. And so, if we look at ich, the empty space, how do you think we would conjugate gehen, looking at the two examples on the left? And also, why don't we look at do? There's that ST pattern. How do you think we would conjugate gehen for do? Take a minute and guess, and then we'll go to the next slide. As I said before, sometimes the tenses in German are easier. For example, to say I am going to go now, as in future tense, Germans stick to the present conjugation, so we would say Ich gehe jetzt.
Ich gehe jetzt.
The easiest way, and the most common, to talk about the future in German is the present tense conjugation of a verb plus a word that signifies a time. So for example, soon or later, tomorrow, yesterday, last year. And this equals future tense. So an example of this would be Ich komme später. I am coming later, or I am going to come later. Let's learn another time word. To say soon in German, we say bald.
Bald.
How would we ask, are you leaving soon? Or even, are you going to leave soon? Remember, it's quite simple. Stick to the present tense. Gehst du bald?
Gehst du bald?
How would you say, no, we are leaving a little later? Or even, we are going to leave a little later. And remember, the present tense. Nein, wir gehen ein bisschen später.
Nein, wir gehen ein bisschen später.
But she is leaving now. Aber sie geht jetzt.
Aber sie geht jetzt.
There are a couple ways to ask why in German, but for now we'll stick with wieso.
Wieso?
How would you ask, why is she leaving now? Wieso geht sie jetzt?
Wieso geht sie jetzt?
There are several ways to say because in German. We'll focus on one of the most common, although it does do a tricky thing to the word order of the sentence. Weil.
Weil.
So what the word weil does is it sends the first verb to the very end of the sentence. And that can be a little confusing at first, but let's look at it here. I am happy is ich bin glücklich. But if I wanted to say because I am happy, it becomes weil ich glücklich bin. This rule is true even if there is a second verb already placed at the end. So in the first sentence, my mother can speak German.
Meine Mutter kann Deutsch sprechen.
It becomes because my mother, German, to speak, can.
Weil meine Mutter Deutsch sprechen kann.
The only way to learn this is to practice and to try to feel and understand the flow of the sentence. So how would you say, she is leaving because she is tired? And keep in mind what the word weil will do to the word ist. Sie geht, weil sie müde ist.
Sie geht, weil sie müde ist.
How do you say, I do not want to leave now? Ich möchte jetzt nicht gehen.
Ich möchte jetzt nicht gehen.
How would you say, I do not want to go now because I am not tired? Ich möchte jetzt nicht gehen, weil ich nicht müde bin.
Ich möchte jetzt nicht gehen, weil ich nicht müde bin.
Here's a free word. The verb to learn in German is lernen.
Lernen.
How would you say, I am learning German? And remember, keep it to the present tense. Ich lerne Deutsch.
Ich lerne Deutsch.
How would you say, we want to learn German? Don't forget where the second verb will go. Wir möchten Deutsch lernen.
Wir möchten Deutsch lernen.
How would you ask, can they speak German? Können Sie Deutsch sprechen?
Können Sie Deutsch sprechen?
How do you say, I don't know? Ich weiß nicht.
Ich weiß nicht.
We learned how to say excuse me as in what did you say? But to say excuse me or sorry if you need to interrupt somebody and ask them a question or you bump into somebody, the word is Entschuldigung.
Entschuldigung?
How would you say, excuse me, can you speak English? Entschuldigung, kannst du Englisch sprechen?
Entschuldigung, kannst du Englisch sprechen?
In German, there are two ways to address somebody. Informally with du bist, that's the one you already know, and formally, which is Sie sind. And you may be asking yourself, I thought Sie sind meant they are. Well, it does mean that, and so the good news is You already know it and you already know all of the conjugations for it, but it is also used for someone you wish to be more polite to or respectful to. So let's see some examples of that. If you were addressing a stranger, how would you say, "Excuse me, can you please help me?" And keep in mind the conjugations for the formal you are the same as they. Entschuldigung, können Sie mir bitte helfen?
Entschuldigung, können Sie mir bitte helfen?
How would you ask someone respectfully, "Can you speak English?" Können Sie Englisch sprechen?
Oder sprechen Sie Englisch?
Again, using the formal, how would you ask someone, "Are you from Germany?" Kommen Sie aus Deutschland?
Kommen Sie aus Deutschland?
How do you say, "Thank you"? Dankeschön.
Dankeschön.
You're welcome. Bitteschön.
Bitteschön.
Remember how to say bye. Tschüss.
Tschüss. Super gemacht. Bald kannst du sehr gut Deutsch sprechen.